Welcome back to the What If It Works podcast. I am your host, Ann Vogt, and I am excited to talk to you about grilled cheese today. That's right, we are doing an entire leadership episode about Happy Grilled Cheese Day. Now, if you follow me on social media, you know that it was National Grilled Cheese Day last Friday, April 12th. And every year on Grilled Cheese Day, I get messages from former students and former coworkers letting me know that they want me to have a happy National Grilled Cheese Day. Why? Where is the story here? I'm going to share with you a story that has brought me and my coworkers and my students so much random joy. You would not believe it if you did not experience it. But also in today's episode, I really want to inspire you to find your tilt. Find a way to bring joy and fun and energy into the office that is not buying pizza for the whole break room or, anything that's going to break the bank or take way too much time to create and put out into the world. So there is a way that you can build energy and fun and momentum right into your workday just through your simple words. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. So jump on in. Here we go. Let's get started. I do want to start by saying that some of you might feel like this episode is a little fluffy. And I want you to know that when you add a little bit of fluff and a little bit of enjoyment, it actually increases engagement within the office or within your team or within the people that you work with. It increases creativity and it increases play, which we know boosts the brain in such a way that we can't replicate that in any other way. And so, yes, we're going to talk about something kind of silly today, but it has so much meaning and creates so much impact with the people that you are employing this with. And so let me tell you the story of Happy Grilled Cheese Day. This is a phrase that was commonly shouted down the hallways or said as students walked into my room on a certain day of the month in my classroom. And so I'm going to take you back a little ways. When I first started teaching, it was 2005. And something as a teacher that you know is every single day you usually start out the class period announcing what's for lunch. So I would announce what's for lunch, and then my students would erupt with either a yay or a boo, or some of them would be excited and others would not. And there would be a conversation that ensued over, why do you like this lunch so much? Or what do you dip your chicken nuggets in? Right. And as we know, there is community that is brought around food. And that is how my 7th grade class always started out my first couple years, was focused on food. Well, one day, I don't know, my 2nd or 3rd year of teaching, somebody asked me what my favorite lunch was. Mrs. Vogt, actually it was Miss Litchfield at the time, what's your favorite lunch? And I thought about it, and I didn't eat a lot of school lunches in my early career. And I said, I get really excited for the grilled cheese. I just love the grilled cheese here. And again, half the class erupted that this was the greatest news, and the other half was booing me because grilled cheese day was not their favorite. However, I held firm. If you don't know, I worked in a very small school where the cooks were the chefs. They made the most delicious meals. Like, they were making it from scratch. All of the desserts were made from scratch. All of the meals were made from scratch. I mean, it was delicious. And so I learned that our head cook, Cindy, literally buttered all of the bread, and then they baked the bread in the oven so that they were toasted on both sides and that they all came out very, very similar, right? Instead of obviously doing it on the stovetop. And this created like the crunchiest crust and the softest middle. I know some of you right now are just like chuckling, like, Ann, are you really going to do 5 minutes on this grilled cheese? I sure am. I mean, not really 5, but here we go. It was just the best grilled cheese. And it was paired with either tomato soup or chili. And there were 2 options of chili. You could do chili with beans or chili without beans. And then there was pineapple tidbits as the fruit that day. and obviously crackers that you could eat with your soup as well. And it was so good. And then once I announced that grilled cheese was my favorite lunch, it then turned into me announcing the lunch in the morning and making it an ordeal every time it was grilled cheese. So I would say, "Uh-oh, do you know what day it is? It's the best day of the month. Happy grilled cheese day, everybody." And then as students learned that this was my favorite lunch, they would start saying it in the hallways. They would say it at lunch while I was walking in to get grilled cheese. A lot of times they let the teachers go to the front of the line because we don't have very long for lunch and we are not 12-year-olds eating, scarfing things down our faces, right? So as I would go to the front of the lunch line, my seventh graders would be like, "Oh, it's Miss Litchfield's favorite lunch." And, then it just became a thing. When I say it became a thing, what I mean by that is for the next 7 years of my teaching career, when it was grilled cheese week, grilled cheese was always on a Thursday while I was teaching. On that Monday, kids would come around and be like, "Oh, do you know what week it is? Do you know what week it is?" And I'd be like, "I do. It's grilled cheese week." And they'd be like, "Yep, yep." And then on grilled cheese day, the secretary would greet me with Happy Grilled Cheese Day. I would greet every human in the hallway, paraprofessionals, teachers, our superintendent, my principal, all of my students with Happy Grilled Cheese Day, Happy Grilled Cheese Day as I walked through the hallways. Now, why is this an episode on my podcast about leadership and culture? It's because it became a day of celebration once a month for me and each other. People would say it to other people in the hallway. Happy Grilled Cheese Day. And it just became this joyous day. And even kids who didn't like grilled cheese on Grilled Cheese Day would say, "Happy Grilled Cheese Day." And I'd be like, "Thank you. Happy Grilled Cheese Day to you." And they'd be like, "It's not my favorite lunch." And I would be like, "Thank you for celebrating my favorite lunch." Then, as some of you know, I took a couple years off of teaching and I came back and grilled cheese was still a thing. Happy Grilled Cheese Day was still a phrase. I would get text messages and emails from former students and from my coworkers while I was out for my 2-year sabbatical telling me, "It's Grilled Cheese Day, thought of you. Happy Grilled Cheese Day. Come into school this Thursday, it's Grilled Cheese Day." I remember taking little Ella into school on a grilled cheese day when she was maybe 2 months old, so that I could get my grilled cheese fix and all of my students and my coworkers could meet my daughter for the first time. And it was just fun. But Happy Grilled Cheese Day was not Happy Grilled Cheese Day. This is why it is in this leadership podcast. Happy Grilled Cheese Day was a way that I and my students could connect on a fun level. It almost became a phrase of like, "I'm thinking of you," right? We all get busy and you're going through school. And as a teacher, you are so overwhelmed with each hour, every hour, move, 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 go, 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 grab those copies, make the printout, get the PowerPoint ready, right? That you don't have a lot of downtime, connection time, other than maybe during group projects or work time, right? And so every morning on Grilled Cheese Day, students would flood into my room to share Happy Grilled Cheese Day. Like I said, I would walk through the halls to go pick out those printouts, and I would make a point to say good morning to every single kid and obviously celebrate that it was Grilled Cheese Day. So this was now a way of connecting with my students on a different level. Some of them I learned that their favorite day was Pizza Day. And so then on Pizza Day, I would say Happy Pizza Day to so-and-so and so-and-so because I knew that that was their favorite. And I know this sounds silly, but I can tell you a couple of my former teachers who did something very similar. And I can tell you about a boss who did something very similar because it was a unique way of connecting with their people. My 7th grade science teacher, every year he would grow out his beard during hunting season. And then one day, magically, he would shave it all off. And he would come into school and he would say that he was his twin brother coming to sub because Mr. Meyer is out hunting. And we were like, Mr. Meyer, we know it's you. And he'd be like, yep, my name is Mr. Meyer, but I am, and then he would give himself a different first name, so-and-so Meyer. And every hour, he would go, what's your name? You back there. I need you to stop talking. I don't know your name because I'm a sub. And he would just sell it. And then every year, the following year, you'd run back as an 8th grader to see if Mr. Meyer had shaved his beard yet, because you knew the day he did, he was going to pretend to be somebody else. I had another teacher who always started the class period with a joke of the day. I had a teacher who would do weird news stories up on the board. And it was a way that if you came to class early, you got to read the weird news stories and connect with the teacher about those weird news stories, not nude stories. No. Weird news stories. And it was just a way of connecting. I had a boss who gave me a nickname, right? How many of you have had bosses who've given you nicknames, and then you walk in and that's their way of connecting with you as well? And so we're out here having fun and communicating and connecting with other people, and it brings joy and enlightenment to the office. And why is that important? Because as I said earlier, this is a way for you to boost engagement. This is a way for you to boost creativity and to bring some play into the office. There are synapses that are only made in your brain during play. And so having playfulness at work is actually building and developing your brain in a new way. And so this is why it is so important. What happens when we see increased engagement? What happens when we see increased creativity? We see more productivity and more efficiency and more coming out of the people that are doing the job and doing the work that we need them to do. And so I want to encourage you to create your version of Happy Grilled Cheese Day. I didn't realize this episode was going to take a turn, but I'm going to make it take a turn because it's important. Sadly, I lost one of my students to suicide. And following that situation, like 2 or 3 days later, we were expected, and I don't mean to be rude to anyone that is at my former school, but there was an expectation that we just keep going, that we just move forward, make sure the kids are just moving forward, right? If a kid needs time to head down to the conference room, they can head down to the conference room whenever they want. But teachers, you can head down only on your prep. And there were so many moments in the weeks that followed the loss of this student where I needed a break. I couldn't handle putting on a face for my students. And one day that came in AP World History. And I remember the day very clearly because I did have a couple students in my AP World History class really struggling with the loss of this 7th grade student. And in the middle of class, I just said something like, I'm really struggling and I need a moment. And actually, do you guys mind if I just share what's coming up for me right now? And they were like, yes, And I said, I don't think you know how much I love you. I don't think you know that I think about you outside of class. I don't think you know that I worry about you on the weekends. I don't think you know that I am so proud of you. I am so proud of the people you are and the way you carry yourselves and the accomplishments you have in sports or in theater. I'm so grateful to know you and love you and be here for you. And I had one girl in the back of the room just kind of quietly say, I love you too. And everybody kind of chuckled. And I was like, I know that's uncomfortable for some of you to hear. I had about 50-50 split, boys and girls, and juniors took AP. And I said, thank you. I really love you. I love you a lot. And I'm sorry that I can't say it, And they were like, you can say it. You can say it. And from that day forward, I ended every Friday to all of my students with, before you go, I need you to know I love you. Have a great weekend and stay safe. And this started in February of that year. And pretty soon, by like April, on Fridays, the bell would ring and kids wouldn't move. They'd be like, don't you have to tell us something? And I would say, oh, I'm so sorry. I love you. I hope you have a great weekend. Be safe. And some kids would yell back, love you too, love you too, love you too. And they would walk out. That is another way of building connection with the people around you. Now, am I telling you bosses to walk around being like, I love you to your employees? I'm not. But what I'm telling you to do is be different. Have a tilt. Originally, fun fact, when I made the impact method, investigate, model, problem solve, appreciate, cultivate, the T stood for tilt. And what I wanted you to do after you got clear on your expectations and you modeled what you wanted out of people and you problem solved effectively and respectfully and you appreciated people for their strengths and you cultivated connections, I wanted you to have a tilt. The last thing before you ended my program, I wanted you thinking about what made you unique. Because as much as I could say, I love you, and as much as I could yell, Happy Grilled Cheese Day down the hall, there were teachers who weren't doing that, of course. That's not who they were, but they had a different tilt. Maybe it was putting a smiley face at the top of papers. Maybe it was rattling off how their favorite football team did that weekend, right? They had a tilt. They had something about them that was memorable, but not just memorable, but made a connection with kids. I have a friend who is obsessed with giraffes and she has made it known to the world. She is a museum director and she's made it known to the world that she loves giraffes. She has people go on vacation and come back, head to the museum and say, saw this and I thought of you. That is making a connection with people. And that brings people joy and a sense of community. And that's what we want for people at work. We want them feeling engaged and creative and a sense of playfulness. We also want work to get done. And in order for work to get done, people have to feel value around that work and within the environment they are in. And this is why I encourage you to find your tilt. I wanted to end this episode with some ideas for you, right? What are some ways that you can increase fun and increase connection without spending dollars, right? So, first and foremost, what's your greeting? Have you ever had somebody who greets you the same way every day? And it's kind of goofy. My son started saying adios amigos as he leaves a room. And now I respond with adios muchacho. And he thinks it's the funniest thing, right? So now it's our thing. And it's a way of connecting, but it's a simple phrase that we're just adding every time we leave a room and respond, call and response, right? Is it a way that you end a staff meeting? Is it a way that you start a staff meeting that truly builds connection with the people around you? Is it asking how people's weekends were or what they have planned for the weekend? And then taking a quick second to write down on a Post-it to ask about those things on the following Monday. I know that there are people in my life who just remember things really well. And they'll say, oh, hey, how was that gig up in the Twin Cities? Or, oh, hey, how was Wisconsin Dells this summer? Oh, hey, how was that book you just finished? And you're like, what? How do you have mental capacity to remember things like that? But they do. And it's their talent. And it instantly makes me feel connected to them. And it instantly makes me ask about them, right? And so how can we be building connections in that way? Another thing you could do is Feel Good Friday. Maybe you start an email thread Friday morning, 7:30 a.m. Hey everybody, it's Feel Good Friday. Hit reply all and tell us one awesome thing about your week or one awesome thing coming up. Again, you're not going around to every single person in the office, which you could do, by the way, but you are creating a sense of community and a sense of connection within the office. Maybe it's a joke of the week. Maybe it's advice for the week that you get off a website. Maybe it's finding out that it's National Grilled Cheese Day on Friday, April 12th, and catering in grilled cheese. You would have to pay for that one, right? Maybe it's suggesting it's going to be a gorgeous day on Friday. Let's all have our lunches outside. What is it that you're going to start doing that creates community and connection, but it's your own thing? My first principal that I ever had on Fridays, if it was nice, she would always get on the loudspeaker and she would say, "Hey staff, thanks for a great week. It's 3:15. Why don't you head on out? Go ahead and leave early. Don't worry about waiting till 3:35. Have a great weekend." I loved that. You would hear beep beep before the intercom would go off. And if it was 3:17 on a Friday and you heard that beep beep, you were like, "Here we go." And you got to leave a little bit earlier, right? What is it that you can start putting into your workplace to build that culture, to build that fun, and to increase that engagement? I want to know, what is your tilt? Please comment on the YouTube video or send a comment on Instagram or Facebook. Remember, you can find me at Ann on Instagram or Impact to Influence on Facebook, or shoot me an email, impact@annvote.com, and let me know, what is your tilt? What are you going to start trying to do? What is something you think that you already do that you know involves fun? Give us some ideas so I can share those out with the audience of the What If It Works podcast and out to all of you. I truly appreciate you for being here and thinking through this. There is a way for you to have fun at work. And you're going to have fun at the same time that you institute this. And that is the point. Increase your engagement with others, and it will impact your own creativity and playfulness and joy. And what if it works? What if you start something and it trickles down to others and they start something and they create more fun in the office? And now we have a culture where fun is invited and welcomed in and embraced. What if you see productivity go up, engagement go up, collaboration go up? That is what we are here to do, is support. As leaders, we are here. As leaders, we are here to support our employees and our teams to help them be the best versions of themselves. And it's really hard to be the best version of yourself without having a little fun. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for going out into the world and creating change. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for listening, and be safe.